Hey there, welcome back to Million Dollar Marketing. I'm your host, Jody Sedini, and today we are digging into a topic that can actually make or break your ad strategy, and that is understanding what you're willing to spend to acquire a customer. This is the conversation that every business owner needs to have, whether they're selling high-ticket coaching, SaaS subscriptions, low-ticket memberships, or they're running paid challenges and webinars. So if you've ever felt unsure about how much to budget for your ads, or you've questioned if your campaigns are even profitable, this one is for you. We'll break down real examples in this episode, the high-ticket coaches, the SaaS companies, the memberships, and the funnels that we're running traffic to, and show you exactly how to calculate your costs, how to set realistic goals, and optimize for the best return on your investment. So by the end of this episode, you're actually going to walk away with actionable insights and clarity on how to make every ad dollar work for you. So let's dive in. Let's get straight to the point. If you don't know what you're willing to spend to get a customer, then you're already losing money. I said what I said. Customer acquisition costs, it's not just some boring marketing metric, right? It's the foundation of every profitable strategy that I create with my clients. And here's why it matters and why you should be paying attention to this. It sets the benchmark for success. So listen, if you can't measure your return on investment, then you're just throwing spaghetti at the wall and you're hoping that it sticks. So knowing your customer acquisition cost actually tells you exactly how much you can spend in order to acquire a customer without setting your wallet on fire, because nobody wants that. So think of it like the budget for a house. You wouldn't build a house without knowing what you can afford, right? The same rule would apply for ads. You want to know what you can afford before you start building. It's going to drive that decision. It drives your budget decisions as well. So knowing your customer acquisition cost, it determines how aggressive or how conservative, right? We've talked about risk tolerance before, that you can be with your ad spend. So if you're planning a webinar funnel, you're going to need a bigger budget. Selling a low ticket membership, you better know your break-even point there. Customer acquisition cost helps you match your spend with your funnel strategy. So instead of flying blind and wondering why you're broke at the end of the month, you've actually got a key performance indicator that you're going for, that everybody understands this is the target, this is where we're going, and this is how we're going to get there. That creates so much transparency and accountability for you and for your ads team. So it's one of the foundations of success when I work with clients. Okay. Also, having this number is going to prevent overspending or cheap moves. So I'll be blunt. Most people either burn through their ad spend like it's monopoly money, or they hoard their cash out of fear. Both of these scenarios are no good. So when you know your customer acquisition cost, you can spend your money confidently without worrying that you're going to light your budget on fire. Okay, it's not about playing it safe necessarily. It's about playing smart. And when you know the numbers, you can make those really confident, smart decisions about what actually works for you. So the bottom line here is that your customer acquisition cost isn't just a number. We're going to call this your North Star, okay? It's what keeps your campaigns profitable and scalable. Without it, you're basically throwing money into the void and just praying for results. And that's not good. Don't do that. I want you to get clear. I want you to get focused. And I want you to let your customer acquisition cost guide every move that you make. So next, I'm going to run you guys through a handful of examples, and I hope that these give you really good insights and key takeaways on what your numbers could look like. So first example is high ticket coaches. So I want to talk about high ticket coaches using a free webinar to sell programs priced at $5,000 or more. Okay. So the funnel that we're talking about is a free webinar leading to a sales call. Let's say that the average customer acquisition cost is $500 to $1,000 per client. It's quite reasonable to think for a $5,000 sale that we are willing to spend up to $1,000 to acquire that customer. You might have different numbers. You might have different expenses to where like that $1,000 customer acquisition cost is like a no-go for you, but you might be very used to spending that. Maybe you pay $1,000 as a referral fee, right? So here is the metrics that we're going to track. The cost per lead, if it's around $10 to $20, and then a 30% close rate on calls. So imagine this scenario, a high-ticket coach who spends $10,000 on ads promoting a free webinar with an average cost per lead of anywhere from $10 to $20. That is a absolutely normal range. They generate 500 to 1,000 leads. So let's assume that 10% of those leads, 500 or 550 to 100 people, actually book a sales call. So with a 30% close rate, the coach can close 15 to 30 clients. And I know I'm giving these like, benchmarks that are quite wide, 15 to 30 clients. But if the offer is priced at $5,000, we're looking at $75,000 to $150,000 in revenue from a $10,000 ad spend. That's a 7.5 to 15x return on investment. And that is incredible. And it's fantastic. And it's absolutely possible because I've actually had clients on my roster do this. Okay. So it's absolutely possible when you've got your landing page dialed in, your webinar dialed in, your sales process dialed in. This is possible to spend $10,000 and make $75,000 on the back end. So that's why I'm also giving a range of like low end to high end, because I've also seen a multi-6-figure return on investment from something like this too. Okay. So the takeaway here is that free webinars can deliver massive returns when structured correctly. But the key is preparation. So first you have to optimize your targeting. You've got to make sure that you're attracting the right leads at a manageable cost per lead. Then you're going to ensure that your webinar is delivering really amazing value and builds trust in order to increase conversions. And then lastly, you want to make sure that your sales process is streamlined. You want to make sure that you're closing calls as efficiently as possible. So then to maximize those results, you can even layer in follow-up systems like email reminders, retargeting ads, SMS nudges, things like that to increase show-up rates to your website, show-up rates to your sales calls, and then keep those people engaged. So with the right setup, I know it's like a whole system, right? But with the right setup, free webinars are a powerful tool for scaling a high-ticket coaching offer. So you can actually have a higher customer acquisition cost for something like that because of the huge return on your investment. Okay, let's talk about the next example. We've got a couple of clients in the SaaS space. And so I wanted to make sure that I'm giving this example in case you're someone in the SaaS space looking for a partner with your ads, because this is something that's happening for us in real time. So SaaS companies often operate on subscription models with recurring revenue. So the funnel type there is going to be like a free trial or a demo or a low cost entry offer. Okay. So if we're looking at an average customer acquisition cost of $50 to $200 per user, but scaling businesses, like one of our clients is spending $40,000 plus on ads per month. So let's talk about what metrics we're going to track. Cost per free trial sign up, or trial to paid conversion rates. Okay. And then also your monthly recurring revenue. So if we look at cost per free trial, $10 to $30 to get someone to trial. And then how many people are going from trial to a paid conversion? That should be about 20 to 30% of the people that sign up for a free trial that convert. And then beyond that, your monthly recurring revenue. So here's the scenario. Imagine a SaaS company with a subscription price at $97 a month, and they have an ad budget of $40,000 per month, and they generate 4,000 free trial signups at $10 cost per signup. If 25% of those people convert to paying, that's 1,000 new subscribers generating $97,000 monthly recurring revenue. So the real value there actually comes when we look at retention. So if the average subscriber stays for 6 months, this leads to $582,000 in total revenue from that $40,000 ad spend. And that's a whopping 14.5 return on investment. So the takeaway here is that SaaS models rely heavily on that lifetime value to justify those higher ad spends. So businesses that are spending $40,000 plus per month, they need scalable systems, they need strong onboarding sequences, they need really great retention strategies to reduce that churn and maximize the profitability. So high upfront ad costs there, it might feel risky, but when paired with that recurring revenue model and well-optimized funnels, that return can compound exponentially over time. So if you focus on scaling sustainably, if you're a SaaS owner, while improving your trial to paid conversions and retention rates, you're going to win the game. You're going to win the game massively with your customer acquisition costs. Okay, example number 3 is low ticket memberships. So these often operate on volume and retention, just like those SaaS companies. So let's talk about a funnel type of like direct to offer or a low cost lead magnet with a tripwire on the back end. So direct to offer is often called a slow funnel, or more recently by my coach, Julie Chanel, the paid lead maker. So let's look at an average cost per acquisition of $50 per member. So I want to track monthly recurring revenue and churn rate here as my top 2 things I want to track. So let's say we have a $27 a month membership and we're spending $1,000 on ads. We're going to acquire 50 new members. And if they have a 3-month retention, that's going to generate $4,050 per month in recurring revenue. So that's interesting because we only spent 1,000 and we're making 4,000. That's not a bad day. I would have a day like that over and over again, right? I would probably quadruple my ad spend. At that point, I would take all my profit and go into ad spend. But let's dive deeper. So low ticket offers can provide really consistent revenue streams, but they rely on these 2 factors of volume and retention. So the initial customer acquisition cost might seem high at $50 when they're only worth $97, like half of that first month. I'd even be willing to spend, $97, right? That first month goes towards covering ad spend. I'd be willing to do that. But that customer acquisition cost, it does seem high, but membership sites often generate recurring revenue. They create that scalability and sustainability when it's managed well. So if those 50 members stay for 6 months instead of 3, the revenue actually doubles to $8,100. And then if you're adding upsells in there, which I highly recommend, like a low ticket membership is not the end all be all for a business. You've got to have upsells and coaching, VIP offers and things like that. You need an ascension on the back end of your membership. So it's a great offer to have, but not the only offer that you should have in your business. So if you have a $97 one-time offer for additional templates or coaching, and even a 20% conversion there could add an extra $970 to your bottom line, pushing that profitability even higher, which is fantastic. That's what we're looking for, right? The key, though, to scaling low ticket offers is managing churn. So what causes your members to leave? And often it's a lack of engagement or a lack of perceived value. And smart marketers are combating this with automated email sequences, exclusive bonuses, ongoing content drops, keeping things fresh. And then also those interactive community members are communities that are keeping members connected. So the takeaway here for low ticket memberships is that they actually thrive on volume and retention. So maximize your customer lifetime value by improving retention strategies like those bonus offers, those added perks, and then increasing the value by having those higher ticket things on the back end. Testing creatives and messaging is really critical in keeping your customer acquisition costs low. But don't ignore, like I said, those back end opportunities for upsells, special promotions, lifetime offers, things like that. Profitable memberships are built by balancing the acquisition cost with retention strategies and then those incremental revenue boosters. Okay, so example number 4 that we're going to talk about is paid challenges with a higher ticket upsell on the back end. So we also have another client doing this right now as well. So paid challenges, they offer a small upfront investment so they can kind of test the waters with you, see if they like you. Is this going to be worth my money? Am I going to get the transformation that you're promising? They're meant to get these people in here with this micro commitment, but hopefully already or get them ready to be a buyer for a bigger commitment. Okay, so let's talk about a funnel with a $37 paid challenge and a $2,500 upsell on the back end. Now, if we have a $50 to $150 cost per acquisition for the challenge participant, what we want to track there is the challenge completion rate and then upsell conversion. So how many people are actually coming in, participating in the challenge, completing the challenge, and then upselling to the next thing. Let's say we're aiming for an average of 10 to 20% conversion there. So Lisa runs a 5-day challenge at $37, okay? And she's spending $1,500 to bring in 100 participants. She's got a 15% upsell rate. She converts 15 people into her $2,500 program. Her revenue there is going to be $37,500. Now, let me talk to you about risk tolerance again. And I've brought this up a few times. I've already mentioned it a hot second earlier on this episode, but I just want to dive into it a little bit more. Okay, so paid challenges, similar to webinars, right? There are launch trigger. They often require businesses to take a bigger risk up front. So let's say you spend $4,000 on ads for a 5-day challenge with an average cart value of $50. That's 80 sales just to break even with no guaranteed return yet. But let's layer in the back-end upsell. Let's say it's $400 for 2 months. That's an additional $800 value per sale. So if 15% of your challenge participants upgrade, that's 12 sales generating $9,600 with $4,000 of ad spend on the front end. So this is where knowing your back-end conversion rates and being honest about your risk tolerance is super critical. I just had to have kind of a pivot conversation with a client today because we overestimated what her back-end conversion rate would be. And so when we're talking about scaling up, spending more on the front end, risk tolerance, it was, oh no, we need to dial that down because I haven't had a conversion rate like that in a long time. Okay, sweet. Let's do that so that we know exactly what we're looking at when we're going through and talking about these projections, which are never promises, by the way. Our projections are what's possible, not something promised. But we have to be honest about your risk tolerance. We have to be honest about what is your average conversion rate on the back end so that we can use that to fuel our objectives and our KPIs for what we're doing together. So are you willing to spend more upfront? Are you confident in yourself to convert, or that your systems are going to convert these people into clients later? Or are you playing it safe and missing out on potential bigger returns? That's just something that you have to weigh for yourself and understand what your risk tolerance is. I'm huge on talking about risk tolerance. So the takeaway here regarding paid challenges is that they're going to attract those warmer leads because they're taking that micro investment, and they're going to filter out those tire kickers, and they're going to boost conversion rates for those higher ticket upsells on the back end. But there's even more to it than that. A well-structured paid challenge funnel can be profitable on the front end, reducing your risk and providing immediate cash flow to reinvest. I want to take a closer look at this because a really well-developed funnel for a paid challenge on the front end is going to make a huge difference. So again, if you're spending $50,000 on ads for a $50 challenge, let's say you're getting 80 sales to break even on the upfront revenue that keeps you in the game. Okay. Now, if you add in order bumps and upsells and downsells, like a $27 workbook or a $97 VIP upgrade during checkout, suddenly you're not just covering your ad spend, you're actually generating a profit. Wow. That back end, though, still plays a huge role because you've got that $800 upsell, the example of $400 a month for 2 months. Even a 15% conversion rate turns 12 buyers into $9,600 in additional revenue. So that's where your systems, like your sales pages, your email sequences, and your follow-ups, they become that safety net that turns that upfront risk into predictable profits. So the key takeaway there is to reduce your risk by optimizing every step through your funnel, maximize your order value upfront, while making sure that you are solidly betting on your back-end conversions to multiply your return on investment. So you see, successful marketers understand the strategic risk-taking often leads to the biggest payoffs. I'm going to say that again. Successful marketers understand that strategic risk-taking often leads to the biggest payoffs. You have to understand your risk tolerance. Okay, so that's all I've got for my examples for you. And I've got some key takeaways that I want to discuss before we wrap up this episode. So what should you spend on your ads? The only way to answer that is for you to know your numbers. You need to track metrics like your cost per lead, your customer acquisition cost, your lifetime value, and your return on your investment. You're going to use these numbers to make data-driven decisions instead of guessing. So if you don't know these numbers, start tracking them now so that when you come to work with someone like me, you have the answers so that I can make really good predictions and projections for you to understand exactly what your possible return on ad spend is going to be. Next is to test relentlessly. Your first ad is rarely your best ad, and I need you to test different headlines, calls to action, visuals, and ad formats, whether we're doing static images, we're doing motion graphics, or we're doing face-to-camera videos or B-roll videos. You're going to optimize that based on performance data, and don't be afraid to scrap what isn't working. I actually just put out a Loom video for a consulting client saying, like, you need to cut the ads that aren't working and let that ad budget go to the other ones that haven't even had a chance to perform yet. Okay, next is that you have to align your offer. Match your funnel strategy to your product price point. So using a low barrier lead magnet or a challenge for smaller offers or webinars and sales calls for that high ticket program. The right funnel really eliminates that friction for buyers and it guides them smoothly through to the next step. You've got to understand what type of funnel you need to actually get the result that you're looking for and sell the thing that you're trying to sell. All right, next is calculate your risk tolerance. I want you to be super honest about how much you're willing to risk up front. Those higher ticket funnels, they often require bigger ad spend and longer sales cycles. You have to assess whether your systems like your landing pages, your email sequences, and your sales calls are optimized to deliver that return on investment. And if they aren't, I want you to fix them before you ever spend a dime on ads, okay? Don't come to me if those things are not dialed in. Next is focus on the lifetime value. Think beyond the initial sale. If a customer is likely to stick around for months or years, their lifetime value justifies that customer acquisition cost. So SaaS models and memberships, they thrive when retention strategies are dialed in. They make that larger upfront investment be worthwhile. Okay, I also want you to make sure that you're reverse engineering your budget. So start with your revenue goal and then work backwards. How many sales do you need? What's your average conversion rate? Use these numbers to determine how much ad spend is required in order to hit your targets without overspending or underinvesting. Because if you spend too little, you're going to get results way too slow. And it's going to feel like you're not moving the needle or that the ad spend is not even worth it. I've seen that happen. So if this episode got your wheels turning, I want you to DM me CAC or customer acquisition cost on Instagram. You'll find my Instagram bio or my Instagram link down in the show notes. So I can actually help you map out your funnel. I can help you make sure that your ad spend is working as hard as you are. I can help you with projections wherever you're at in this stage. I can help you with that. I do VIP days, all of that stuff on top of the done for you ads if you're ready for that. If you found this helpful, please share this with a friend or a teammate who needs clarity on their ad strategy. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and let's keep building those $1 million marketing systems together. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of $1 Million Marketing. Remember that when you know your numbers, you are the one that holds the key to scaling your business. I'll catch you next week.